All right, here we are on Daybreak again. We've seen a game on Daybreak before. We of course cast Naniwa versus Dignitas, the Alliance Naniwa versus Dignitas Tefel on this map as well. So the second time we're going to be seeing this map, and I'm sure Zoya was distracted by the chat, but I wasn't this time around. I'm focusing on my introductions. In the top right spawn position, playing for Navi, playing for the Terran race, and playing in red today. It is Strelok. He's going against one of the more recent additions to the Millennium roster in the bottom left, excuse me, being able to win the first game by doing a lot of harassment damage early on. He's playing in yellow. It's Dayshi.
Fantastic introduction, Larian.
What did they say in the early game?
In the early game?
Like, they were bantering. They said,
"Oh, they
good
didn't
luck,
say,
have fun, thanks,
yeah.
my pleasure." Oh.
Yeah, they were just being very mannered. Both these guys, they're not known for being BM. These guys are not, they're very well mannered, and they show that. So we see a standard opener from both players. Both players getting their barracks before gas. How they'll see, will we see gas expands, or will we see them take the? And it looks like both players are going to keep SCVing up. So we're going to be seeing, barracks in the command center off of no gas from both players.
Good to see that delayed gas. That is something that a lot of Terran players also do, like the 14-15 gas, and yep, there it is, out of Dayshi, taking the delayed gas. Something that we do see quite a bit in TVT. That's going to allow you to grab a reactor really early on after starting your command center, I believe. You can also do it before starting your command center. It depends a little bit on the timings that they want to go for.
Yeah, there's so many. The thing about TVT is, it has always been the most versatile matchup when it comes to build orders. You can do whatever you really want. There are soft counters of things, but as long as you control well, you can hold off anything. And in Heart of the Swarm, it's the same. You can go barracks into a command center. You can go command center first. You can go gas first. You can go fast tech. You can go 2-rack sweeper. I mean, you can do whatever you want as long as you control well. You can hold off anything, or end up ending the game early.
Yeah, the only thing I feel that we see a little bit less in Heart of the Swarm than we saw in Wings of Liberty is the command center first build,
right?
Because it's so risky to go for that. You could get 888 proxy Reaper rushed. You could get just a normal Reaper build would wreck your day. So that's definitely a build we see less often, but all the other options are still present. There's so many different variations and openers in TVT, and they kind of all come down to the same. Like, there's no huge advantage to one build over the other. Getting your expansion a few seconds earlier, it's not the biggest difference, is it?
Yeah, you make a very good point. Here we go, 2 Marines harassing the natural. Going to delay that bunker just a little bit. SCVs have been pulled. Will the target fire be good enough? There is actually 1 Marine at the 3rd base for Strelok. Could have been helping defend that. Almost gets another SCV, but the bunker finishes, and Dayshi has to fall back. Ends up killing 1 SCV. I mean, this is light pressure. Gets to scout out what's going on, and walks away without any losses. So, I mean, was it worth it? Yeah.
Yeah, while those Marines were walking back to the Watchtower Lake, they were like, oh, that went well, high five, worth it. Because killing a single SCV with just 2 Marines, that should have done absolutely no damage. Because let's face it, Strelok, if he had his 2 Marines in position, those other 2 Marines of Dayshi would have done 0 damage. So the pickoff that they were able to make, they're going to be very happy about that. Dayshi's going to be, numbing away, being happy with himself that he got an SCV kill. But his expansion is a little bit later than Strelok's, so Strelok is going to be compensating for that SCV loss that way.
Yeah. It's only the 1 SCV. It's not the end of the world for Strelok. Both players are just going to transition out of this.
It's a nice mental advantage, though. Being able to say like,
that's very true.
I'm so happy when my probe kills an SCV when I'm scouting. I've even had this is a long time ago, but this was in Masters, I believe mid-Masters. I had my scouting probe go out and I killed his SCV. He was building the barracks, and then he sent a new one, and I killed that SCV again that was building the barracks, and then he left the game.
Yeah, I would have left the game too. Yeah, I would have done the very same thing. That's the most frustrating thing about Terran play is when
it's my micro, man. It's so good.
Oh yeah. Well, when you've been forgating for as long as you have, eventually your micro is top tier.
Yeah, you do get really good with low unit micro because, you know, let's face it, when you 4-gate, your amount of units is going to be very low. But enough about 4-gates. Let's get into this game a little bit because we do have a lot of Hellions moving out on the field for Dayshi right now, and he has a medevac to support that. This is a bit of a scary timing. Strelok is getting a missile turret, though, in a pretty good position.
Yeah, he's got 3 turrets on the way.
Oh, it's not going to finish in time.
Oh, the medevac is going to cancel the turret. Oh, it does not get to cancel the turret. It does finish, so the Marines have to back out of there, but they will target down the turret and kill it off. There are 2 battle Hellions here, and they're going to drop straight onto those Marines. Good job, and all those Marines just get obliterated. More Hellions are reinforced in this push. Dayshi is really good with these little small Marine Hellion pushes. This is the second time we've seen that. SCVs being pulled, battle Hellions coming forward. He does micro back, and so many Harvesters are just getting roasted by these Hellions. Battle Hellions should be able to clean it up, but wow, 17 SCVs have been killed so far this game. Will he drop down and get some more? He's be careful of that turret, though. He's going to lose the medevac and no Hellions get out. So let's do some damage recap, Lillian.
Okay, damage control center here. 19 workers killed, and that's going to bring the total SCV count for both players 20 for Strelok and 36 for Dayshi. Once again, this is almost an exact repeat of last game. Dayshi once again doing crippling damage with an early mid-game drop push, and Strelok just not able to defend it.
Now keep in mind that was a lot of Marines and I think 6 Hellions, so he did lose all of his units in that push, so he did take some losses. If he can walk away from these battle Hellion drops with no losses as 1 Viking pushes away 1 medevac, then, oh wow, he got so close to that Widow Mine. Now with Strelok doing no damage with these drops, he is very far behind. If he could have done at least a little bit of damage, then yes, but Dayshi's defense was perfect of this.
Dayshi's build is so freaking good. He was hitting right before the double medevac Hellbat timing would have hit. That is also popular in TVT, but also in Terran versus Protoss. That double Hellbat medevac timing, it's incredibly powerful. It can kill all your, or most of your workers in just a few seconds time. And Dayshi made a pressure build that would hit right before those Hellbats would pop out and was able to do so much damage. If he would have hit a minute later, Zoya, I don't think he would have been able to do much because there would have been like 6 Hellbats out on the field.
Yeah, even like a few seconds later, that turret finished a little bit late to push that back. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
The timing of that push is just perfect, like you said. We do see that Hellions are moving in this battle. Both players are going mech again. Income tab 34 to 48, so Strelok slowly making his way back. I believe Dayshi's 3 command centers are already finished. I mean, it's just a different variation of the build he did game 1. You know, first game he went gas. This game he went, for a standard timing. So he's got different openers that kind of conceal what he's doing. But I mean, he's playing so well. Going to be able to get his 3rd base soon. A Widowmine being burrowed at his 3rd base. Really nice call there from Strelok. Just in case the SCVs are transferred before the command center lands, you can get a nice connect there, or just delay the 3rd base in general. Really well done.
Yeah, he definitely deserves this as well. Like we said, an up-and-coming player, and he's been impressing me the last couple of days, and he's impressing me today. His TVT is looking really good versus Strelok here. What can Strelok really do? He has a 3rd base. He has been trying to catch up in worker count again. He's down by 10 workers. Now that is significant, but not the end of the world. It's really, once more, and the worker supply and the army supply. Being down 22 army supply and being down 10 worker supply. You know, if you're down both economically and in army supply, it just becomes so difficult to come back.
Yeah, you're completely correct here. We do see that the Widow Mine will be cleaned up.
What did it kill there, the Widow Mine? Did it get a Viking?
One
or
SCV.
An SCV? Oh.
And more factories on the way here for Strelok. He's just going to, both players are going into the full macro mode, but we're actually seeing a delayed armory here from Dayshi, but he's going double armory. So with the double armory, if this goes unscouted, he's going to have a huge upgrade advantage going into the late game.
Yeah, those upgrades, of course, making a big difference, like we pointed out before, in a matchup where you're both going mech, where you're both getting sort of similar army compositions. Actually, the army compositions are completely different right now. Dayshi playing a Blue Flame Hellion-centric style with Viking support, whereas his opponent is getting Battle Hellions and Vikings himself. I don't think this is going to end well for Strelok at all. Those siege tanks are in position. There's Marauders even there, tanking some of the Hellbat damage.
I love the Marauders mix with this composition. It's so smart. The entire army for Strelok almost gets cleaned up. Hellion's going to go into the main base. pick off one of the siege tanks. 2 more battle hands popping out, but I think this might just be a little bit too much for our Ukrainian Terran to hold on. He's just on the verge of defeat here. Income tab. It's most of Strelok's supply at this point. Hellions destroying the SCVs in the main mineral line. He's bringing up reinforcements from his third base, but I don't know. I mean, these SCV splits have been pretty good so far. They're actually going to be stacked up. There are only 2 Hellions left over, and it does get cleaned up. The follow-up push into the main base went a lot worse than I thought it would for Dayshi.
Yeah, Dayshi not throwing the game away there, but making the game a lot more equal for his opponents, so to say. But then again, he did kill 31 workers now, and he has an SCV lead of over 20, so that's definitely still significant. But the army supply has equalized quite a bit. 53 army supply for Strelok to 51 army supply of Dayshi. Strelok's actually ahead in army supply for what might be the first time in this series.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how this game has played out. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I thought the game was over there when Dayshi pushed in, but Strelok, you know, he can hold on, man. He's doing an excellent job so far. He's got his third base established finally. A lot of those mules being just now dried up. Income tab, 76 to 57 in favor of our yellow Terran player. Getting a 4th command center soon. Started that +1/+1. Again, no second armory just yet for Strelok. He's got his +2 or +1 armor on the way as well. Strelok needs to get some drops in the main base. I mean, we actually have a battle holding drop coming in from Dayshi. How many more SCVs are being killed off? It looks like a lot have died.
This is damage control. Another 6 workers have been killed by the 2 battle Hellions that Dayshi has in the main base. Trying to micro them, trying to find any point to do more damage. Look at this. This is like the most boring chase I've ever seen. Battle Hellions, of course, extremely well, not extremely slow, but they're really slow. And especially because they're relatively big, they look even slower. That was kind of funny to watch.
They just kind of like waddle across the map, and when they're
like wiggle.
Yeah, it's not the most entertaining chase scene, but again, Dayshi just making these drops work. This is what Strelok needs to be doing to come back in these games, is making these small drops, pick up 6-7 SCVs there. He can, eventually get back in the game. If we look at that supply count, 180 to 161, both players slightly supply block. The third command center, actually 4th and 5th, or excuse me, 5th and 6th on the way as well for Dayshi. He is just macro machining right now, taking the middle of the map.
Trying to drop in the main base again, not able to do much. It's got another drop that is going to do absolutely nothing. He wasn't paying attention there. He was paying attention to his main army that's getting in position near the natural of Strelok. Strelok down 20 supply, but only down 10 army supply, so he might be able to make this work. The Hellbats are already very close to the tanks, and I think this is going to be quite the alright engagement for Strelok, at least the best that he could have hoped for. Some SCVs are being pulled, but they are not going to join in the fight. They are running from even more Hellbats at the natural, and Dayshi is, after all, getting the better end of this engagement, but barely.
Just barely. Kind of left his siege tanks alone. I think it would have gone a little bit better if he had a few Hellions with his siege tanks to defend against the battle Hellions of Strelok, but like you said, Dayshi's still just barely able to muscle through this. He does have that +1/+1 2/2 on the way. I think it's 2-0 for Strelok because he's got he's at +2 attack. Battle Hellions in the main base doing more damage. 56 SCVs have been killed this game, putting the Harvester Cat back to 79 versus 54.
Yeah, that's really the story of the game. Every attack that Dayshi does, Strelok defends it kind of well and comes out equal, but he ends up losing so many workers every time that it starts to become increasingly difficult for him to be able to get an army out again, because, keep in mind, Dayshi has been working off the double armory. He's going to be finishing up 2 upgrades for his mech in a second, whereas Strelok, he's only got 1 armory, so he's going to be on 2-1.
Yeah, so that slight upgrade advantage for Dayshi. He's going to have the supply advantage. That might just be a little too much. And keep in mind, it's 4 bases versus 3 right now. The main base mined out for Strelok has nothing mined there. Natural base is pretty low as well. I mean, Strelok running out of time that he can sit on just 3 bases. Dayshi's going to start taking the entire map. And, once you're up to 9 factories versus 5, you just got to AIM move 3 or 4 times, and Dayshi takes the game.
Yeah, he's at such an economic advantage at this point. 4 bases operational, getting a 5th, and this 4th base of Strelok, that's not gonna happen. There's a Battle Hellion on its tail, and has a very good idea of where that command center will be landing. And there it is. It's gonna have to lift off immediately, and some Thors will be firing a few shots at that command center. Will not be going down, but denying the 4th base while establishing a 5th base himself. Dayshi's economy is impeccable, unharassed. It's perfect.
Yeah, and he's got the 3-3 on the way. Yeah, he can afford that easily. Being 3-3 versus 2-1 is going to be huge. But you have an engagement coming forward here. Nice hold position on some of those Hellions to defend his siege tanks. At the same time, he's going to bust through the siege tank line of Strelok. It's so insane to see how powerful these battle Hellions are against sieged up siege tanks. Just kind of slowly walking. Things are going to get obliterated, and then they just end up holding. But look at that supply difference literally. And 173 to 128 in favor of Dayshi. I don't know how much time Strelok has.
He might hold here. There's a lot of siege tanks. I don't think Dayshi can quite push up this ramp just yet, and no, he doesn't. He's gonna siege up himself, and now the siege tank for Strelok are slightly overextending and will get killed off here by the remaining Thors that he has got in position. Once again, Strelok holding on, but can he secure that 4th base that he also desperately needs to try and keep up with the 5 bases of the French Terran player? I don't think he can. That 4th base is never gonna happen. We're once again gonna see someone starve to death in TVT.
Yeah, I mean, yes, Strelok's holding, but when you're producing out of 8 factories versus the 3 of your opponent, and at this point, Strelok can't afford to produce out of the 3, or the 5 he has, too. It just eventually dies. Mules getting dropped onto the siege tanks here. Thors and battle Hellions just walking into this. More SCVs being pulled. Preemptive mule drop here. It looks like it might just hold. SCVs are actually repairing or not repairing the command center. They're sitting underneath it. Strelok is it's such a close hold yet again, but actually he's gonna hold. Wow.
Yeah,
Strelok,
he does
man,
hold on.
Can't break this guy.
the Ukrainian Terran player is holding on for his life. Of course, there's a lot of line here. He does not want to go down in this game because then he'll be down and out. The supplies, though, still heavily favoring Dayshi, as you can all see, 173 to 97. Dayshi was trying to break his opponent there, dropping the mules to trying to catch some siege tank fire and being able to finally break the Ukrainian. But he wasn't able to. The 4th base has now been established by Strelok, but look at the army that Dayshi has mustered up. He's already maxed out again in just, what was that, like 3 minutes max, maybe even 2 minutes?
Yeah, this is ridiculous. He just got so much production. How many he's producing out of? How many factories? 8. Still have to add on additional ones. He's gonna have that 3-3, and yeah, Strelok's holding on, but this next push, we've said it like 6 times now. This next push should be the end, but this one really should do it. And there's just so much here from Dayshi. He's got a lot of Vikings mixed in with this. There's really nothing in the air for how much supply is taken up in Vikings right now. He's got 11 Vikings right now. A little bit overdoing it, so it looks like he's wanting to do that transition into Sky Terran you were talking about earlier, but I don't know if the game's going to last that long to where we get to see the battle cruisers. I'm sorry, Lillian.
It's cool that he's actually preparing for the late game. We can see that Dayshi split his army up in 3 portions. He's going to be coming from a lot of angles here. 3 angles to come in, maybe even 4 angles if you consider that Viking army that's going to be moving in. And here they come, all moving in. The mules are being dropped to draw some siege tank fire, but Strelok is focus firing his siege tank very well on the Hellbats and the siege tank, but it is not going to be enough. Dayshi's breaking through here, coming from so many angles. GG gets called.